The secret they'll never tell. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Have you ever looked at a self-made millionaire and wondered, how did they do it? Not inherited wealth, not lucky breaks, but those men and women who started with empty pockets and built empires. Those who didn't just earn money, they earned freedom, they earned power. They earned the right to say, I built this life with my bare hands. There's something different about these people. You can feel it before they even speak. It's in their eyes. It's in the way they walk into a room. It's in the decisions they make, the way they think, the way they command their world. It's not luck, it's not coincidence. It's something much deeper. They know things that the average person has never been told. They operate by a different set of laws, unwritten, unspoken, and rarely revealed. That's what this message is. A decoding of the unseen. A revelation of the internal blueprint every self-made millionaire lives by. Not just to earn, but to transform. Not just to rise, but to dominate. Because until you know what they know, you'll always be stuck in the same cycle, wishing, hoping, doubting, waiting. But when you start to think like them, act like them, breathe like them, you become one of them. So listen closely. The veil is about to be lifted. Everything they know, everything they live by, is about to be handed to you. They live by the law of inner identity. You think they're chasing millions. No, they're not chasing anything. They're becoming someone, and from that identity, the money flows. The wealth appears, the doors open. You see, the average person tries to act rich before they've become rich inside. They buy things they can't afford, wear clothes to impress people who don't care, and speak words that sound successful but carry no power. Self-made millionaires move differently. Because they are different. They start by reprogramming who they are, on a cellular level. Every belief, every value, every standard. They strip away the old identity, the one that made excuses, blamed others, feared risk, and they rebuild themselves from the ground up. They tell themselves a new story, a story of power, of ownership, of control. They don't just say, I want to be rich. They say, I am the kind of person who creates wealth. And every day, with every action, they prove that story true. Until the universe has no choice but to mirror it back. They develop a relationship with pain. Most people run from pain. They flinch at the first sign of discomfort. They quit when it burns. They retreat the moment things get hard. But the self-made, they shake hands with pain. They welcome it. They study it. Because they know the truth. Pain is not the enemy. It's the invitation. It's the fire that forges steel. The pressure that creates diamonds. The weight that builds strength. They don't avoid the late nights, the uncertainty, the failures, the silence. They choose them. Because within each one is a test, and those who pass the test rise above the rest. They don't want easy. Easy doesn't lead to greatness. Easy creates copies. But the path of pain, that creates champions. So while the world hides behind comfort, they lean into the flames. Because that's where power is born. They don't wait for permission. Do you want to know why most people never become wealthy? Because they're waiting for someone to tell them it's okay. They're waiting for a sign, a mentor, an opportunity, a green light. But the self-made, they give themselves permission. They don't wait for the world to understand their vision. They don't beg for approval. They don't ask if it's possible. They decide. They don't wonder if they're ready. They move and make themselves ready on the way. When doors are closed, they build new ones. When the rules don't fit, they write their own. That's the game changer. Because while the average person hesitates, delays, overthinks the act, and in this world, speed is power. They are ruthless with their time. It's the only resource you can never get back. You can lose money and make it again. Lose energy and recover. But time, once it's gone forever. And the self-made understand this in their bones. They don't waste time arguing, complaining, binge-watching nonsense, gossiping, doubting. Every second is measured, not rigidly but intentionally. They know that what they do with each hour echoes into their future. So they cut out distractions like a surgeon cuts out disease. They say no to almost everything so they can say yes to the few things that matter. You'll never see them wasting mornings. You'll never catch them drifting through days. Their calendar isn't packed with busy work. It's focused on progress. They treat time like gold, and in return, it gives them wealth. They think in terms of systems, not effort. Here's what no one teaches you. Effort alone is not enough. You can work like a machine, hustle 16 hours a day, sacrifice everything, and still stay broke. Why? Because effort without systems is just struggle. Self-made millionaires understand leverage. They know that one system, built right, can produce more than a lifetime of labor. They build processes that multiply their time, automations that scale their income, teams that amplify their impact. They're not chasing every dollar with their own hands. They're designing engines that print wealth. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter, and then smarter than that they stop trading time for money. They start creating machines that do the trading for them. That's how real wealth is built. Quietly, intelligently, systematically. They play the long game with obsession. The world is addicted to short-term wins, quick money, overnight fame. instant results, but they're obsessed with the long game. They plant seeds others can't see. They work for years without applause. They invest in relationships, skills, assets, and they wait, not passively, not lazily, but with focused patience, because they know the greatest rewards go to those who can delay gratification while staying obsessed with the outcome. They're not distracted by shiny objects. They don't pivot every week. They choose a vision and lock into it like a missile. And while the rest of the world zigzags, they walk a straight line deeper, further, faster, until one day, the world looks up and sees what they've built. And by then, it's already too late to catch up. They embrace solitude and use it as a weapon. Solitude is where the self-made find clarity, power, and direction. While the world rushes to fill every silence with noise, every free moment with distractions, the self-made millionaire steps away. They don't fear being alone with their thoughts. They crave it, because they know that when the world is quiet, the soul speaks. In the stillness, they listen, they reflect, they plan, they adjust, and they rise. Solitude is not isolation. It's not loneliness. It's where they recalibrate, where they sharpen the sword, where they connect with their inner power and recalibrate their vision without the influence of the crowd. They understand that the bigger the vision, the more dangerous it is to be surrounded by small minds. So they choose solitude, not forever, but often, and in those quiet moments, while the masses scroll and gossip and wander, they're rewriting their future. They rewire their response to fear. It's the invisible wall between dreams and reality. Most people hit that wall and stop. They freeze, they rationalize, they retreat, but the self-made millionaire sees fear for what it really is: a signal, a compass, a challenge to be answered. They don't eliminate fear, they harness it, they use it as fuel. When fear shows up, they lean in, not out, because they know something most don't. Behind every fear is growth. Behind every fear is power. Behind every fear is the next level of their life. The average person feels fear and runs. The self-made feels fear and acts. They train their mind to ask a different question, not, what if I fail, but what if this unlocks everything? They don't let fear dictate the pace. They push through it, again and again, until the fear is no longer a wall, it's a doorway, and they walk through that doorway every single day. They fall in love with risk. Risk is the entry fee for success, but most people treat it like poison. They avoid it, dodge it, minimize it. They look for guarantees, for certainty, for comfort. The self-made, they know that playing it safe is the most dangerous move of all. They study risk, they respect it, but they're not afraid of it, because they've realized that the greatest rewards are found on the other side of uncertainty. That risk, when taken intelligently, opens up doors no comfort zone ever could. They're not reckless, they're courageous. They don't jump blindly, they move with intent, but they move. Every opportunity carries risk. Every new venture, every investment, every decision. But they know, the only thing riskier than going after your dream is not going after it at all. They build unshakable internal standards there. There's a difference between having goals and having standards. Goals are something you want. Standards are something you are. And every self-made millionaire holds themselves two internal standards that would break the average person. Standards for how they think, how they work, how they lead, how they respond when things fall apart. They don't need a boss to push them. They don't need a deadline to get started. They don't need applause to keep going. Their standards are set internally, and they are non-negotiable. When others give up, they push harder. When others make excuses, they make moves. When others aim for average, they aim for legendary. They don't rise to the occasion. They rise to their standards, and those standards, held daily, become the foundation for everything they build. They are obsessed with becoming a world full of noise, copycats, and temporary trends. The self-made strive to be irreplaceable. They don't try to fit in. They try to stand apart. They don't follow formulas. They create them. They don't mimic, they invent. They study their industry, their craft, their environment, and ask one question: how can I bring something to the table that no one else can? It's not ego, it's excellence. They develop rare skills, deep insight, uncommon grit. They invest in themselves until their presence becomes a necessity. Whether they're entrepreneurs, creators, investors, leaders, they make themselves invaluable. Because when you're irreplaceable, the world bends. To meet your value, they respect the invisible game you see. The self-made understand something most people don't. The external game is only half the battle. Success isn't just about what you do, it's about what you believe, how you think, what energy you carry, what image you hold in your mind when no one's watching. They play the invisible game, and they play it hard. They visualize their goals daily. They speak powerfully. They guard their thoughts like gold. They don't entertain negativity, gossip, or small thinking, not for a second. They understand the law of vibration, that your internal world must match your external goals, so they align their thoughts with their actions, their energy with their intentions, their frequency with their future. This isn't fluff, this is science. This is strategy. They know, You don't manifest success by accident. You attract it by becoming it. They are strategic with emotion. Emotion rules the average person. It dictates their mood, their decisions, their habits, their days. The self-made, they feel everything, but they don't act on everything. They train their emotions like an elite athlete trains their body. They know when to release, when to hold back, when to channel, when to ignore. They don't react to every insult. They don't spiral with every setback. They don't chase every high. They stay grounded, focused. Calm, even in chaos. Because emotional discipline is the hidden advantage. It's what keeps them moving when others melt. It's what lets them see clearly when others panic. It's not that they're cold, it's that they're controlled, and that control gives them the edge. They rewrite the rules of life. Society teaches you a script. Go to school, get a job, save what you can, work until you're old, hope for the best. But the self-made look at that script and burn it. They don't want someone else's map. They want freedom, so they question everything. Every belief, every truth, every tradition. They create lives based on their own values, not the expectations of others. They challenge limits, break molds, redefine what's possible. They don't just think outside the box. They live outside the box. And in doing so, they create lives so rich, so free, so rare, the rest of the world calls them lucky. But it wasn't luck. It was courage, audacity, vision. They turn rejection into fuel. It stops most people in their tracks. A single no, and they shrink back into the shadows. A door slammed in their face, and they give up. But the self-made millionaire, rejection is their catalyst. It's not a wall. It's a springboard. They don't personalize it. They don't let it define their worth. They study it. They dissect it. They ask, what is this teaching me? What angle did I miss? Where can I improve? Each rejection sharpens them, strengthens them, prepares them. They know rejection is proof that they're pushing, that they're knocking, that they're daring to ask for more. And when most would crumble, they grow hungrier, more focused, more precise. But because they understand the hidden truth behind every rejection is redirection. And that redirection leads to something greater. Rejection isn't the end of the road. It's the sharpening of the sword. They take ownership of absolutely everything. This is what separates the winners from the wanderers. Average people blame. They blame the economy, their parents, the market, their past, the weather, anything outside themselves. But the self-made, they take full, unapologetic ownership of their success, of their failures, of their choices, of their energy, of their mindset. They understand that as long as you blame something outside of you, you've handed away your power. So they take it back. They say, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. They don't wait to be rescued. They become the rescuer. They don't hope for change. They create it. They don't sit around waiting for life to be fair. They build their own playing field and dominate it. Ownership is the root of empowerment, and once they claim it, they never give it up. They cultivate magnetic confidence. Confidence isn't born. It's built, brick by brick, repetition by repetition, victory by victory. And every self-made millionaire builds theirs from the ground up. They don't rely on fake hype. They don't puff their chest. They don't pretend. Their confidence is real because it's earned. They start small. They show up consistently. They do what they say they'll do. They stack proof until they no longer hope they can. They know they can. That quiet inner knowing becomes their armor. And people feel it. It's not arrogance. It's presence. It's power. It's certainty that radiates without a single word. They don't beg for attention. They don't demand respect. They command it simply by being who they are. Because true confidence doesn't shout. It glows. They refuse to think like the poor. There is a war happening every day, a war between rich thinking and poor thinking, and the battlefield is your mind. The poor mindset says, I can't afford it. The rich mindset says, how can I create it? The poor mindset says, I'm stuck. The rich mindset says, there's always a way. The poor mindset waits for miracles. The rich mindset creates momentum. The self-made don't just earn more, they think more powerfully. They train their minds to look for leverage, for growth, for opportunity. They don't think in limits. They think in abundance. Because they know poverty isn't just about money. It's a mindset, a disease of the spirit. And if you don't change the way you think, you'll never change what you have. They study results, not excuses. Talk is cheap. Excuses are free. But results are rare. Self-made millionaires live by results. They don't care how hard you tried, how long you worked, how tough it was. They ask, what did you create? They measure their own lives the same way. Did it move the needle? Did it solve the problem? Did it build the vision? If not, they adjust. No ego, no story, no drama. Just data, just refinement, just focus. They study what works. They replicate what succeeds. They remove what fails. They're not emotionally attached to being right. They're committed to getting it right. That's why they grow fast. Because they don't waste time defending mistakes. They learn, adapt, and evolve over and over until success becomes inevitable. They turn chaos into creation when the world falls apart. Most people freeze. They panic, they break. But the self-made, they build in the storm. They see chaos as a gift, a disruption that makes room for innovation, a breakdown that clears the path for something greater. They've trained their minds to stay calm in fire, to find the pattern inside the mess, to ask, what can be created from this? Where others see setbacks, they see raw material. Where others complain, they construct. They thrive in chaos because they've learned how to convert it. It's not the absence of problems that makes them successful. It's their ability to turn every problem into power. They know success isn't a moment. It's a rhythm. Most people think success is one big event, a lucky break, a perfect pitch, a sudden win. But self-made millionaires understand that success is a rhythm. It's a beat, a flow, a pace you fall into through consistent, focused action. It's in the morning routine, in the daily commitment, in the nighttime reflection. They dance with success, not once, but every day. They know you don't arrive at greatness. You become it through repetition. And that rhythm creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates results. Results create freedom. And freedom is the ultimate goal. They are lifelong learners. Relentlessly, the self-made millionaire doesn't stop learning when school ends. In fact, that's when their real education begins. They devour books. They study markets. They learn from failure, from mentors, from observation, from everything, because they know something most don't. The moment you stop learning is the moment you start losing. While others coast on what they already know, the self-made stay hungry. Their minds are open but selective. They filter noise. They seek wisdom. They apply knowledge immediately. They invest in courses, coaches, experiences, conversations, not as luxury but as fuel. They understand that the more you know, the more you can know. That learning compounds like interest. That mastery is not a destination, it's a lifestyle. And while others say, I know enough, they say, I've only scratched the surface. They command attention without asking for it. You can't fake presence. You can't buy it. You can't pretend it. You can't post enough selfies or shout loud enough to create the energy that makes people listen when you walk into a room. Self-made millionaires don't beg for attention. They command it, not by being loud but by being aligned. They carry vision, purpose, certainty. You can feel it. People sense that they know who they are, what they want, what they're building, and most of all, that they're not afraid. That magnetism, it's real and it's not showy. It's silent. It's felt before it's seen. Because when you're living in purpose, when you've paid the price behind the scenes, when you've bled for your dream, you don't need to talk about it. You are it. They know that energy is everything, something they never teach you in school, something every self-made success knows deep in their bones. Your energy creates your results. Not just your physical stamina, but your vibration, your frequency, your state. The self-made protect their energy like a sacred fire. They don't spend time with people who drain them. They don't give attention to complaints, gossip, or They fuel their bodies. They guard their sleep. They meditate, journal, train, focus. Not to be trendy, but to be powerful. Because when your energy is high, your decisions are sharp, your ideas are clear, your presence is magnetic, your execution is relentless. They understand this one truth. You can't create a legendary life from a low vibration, so they rise energetically before they rise financially. They attract wealth because they're ready for it. Most people chase money out of desperation, but the self-made attract it with alignment. They don't need to prove themselves. They don't need to force it. They become the kind of person wealth flows to naturally. They've built the foundation, discipline, clarity, value, confidence, structure, obsession. They've removed the inner blocks, fear, scarcity, guilt, procrastination. And so wealth, true wealth, becomes a reflection of who they've become. Opportunities show up. Deals fall into place. Clients appear. Ideas spark. Growth accelerates. It looks like magic, but it's not. It's alignment. When you're truly ready, wealth doesn't need to be hunted. It comes to you. They give more than they take. There's a myth that all wealthy people are greedy, that self-made millionaires are selfish. But look closely. The real ones, the ones who've built from nothing, they give. They give value, insight, opportunity, inspiration. They solve problems. They serve needs. They create impact. That's the secret most miss. Wealth follows value. The more people you serve, the more money you deserve. And the self-made understand this better than anyone. They wake up thinking, how can I help more people? How can I create more impact? How can I solve something that matters? Because when you give more than you take and do it consistently, the marketplace rewards you. Not just with money, but with loyalty, with freedom, with legacy. They don't seek balance, they seek alignment. Work-life balance is a phrase thrown around like a badge of honor, but the self-made know that real success isn't about balance, it's about alignment. Balance implies equal time for everything. Alignment means giving energy to what matters most, when it matters most. Sometimes they work long days. Sometimes they disappear into their vision. Sometimes they miss events or turn down vacations. Not because they hate life, but because they love their purpose, and when they rest fully. When they're with family, they're present. When they play hard. It's not a seesaw, it's a flow. A life of intelligent priorities, not forced symmetry, because when your mission is aligned with your soul, it doesn't drain you, it fuels you. They focus on legacy, not just lifestyle. The self-made are not just building income, they're building impact. They don't just want to live well, they want to be remembered well. They think in decades, in generations, in footprints. They ask, what will outlive me? What am I building that will echo when I'm gone? It's not ego, it's meaning. They know the cars, the clothes, the luxuries, they're fun, but fleeting. Legacy, that's different. It's the lives touched, the businesses built, the families transformed, the students inspired, the ideas left behind. They don't want to just have it all, they want to leave it better, and that desire pushes them to play bigger than comfort allows. They know the world bends for those who refuse to break. The road is not smooth, the nights are long, the setbacks come like waves, but here's the unshakable truth. Self-made millionaires don't stop, they bend, but they do not break. They cry and keep building. They fall and rise faster. They lose and come back stronger. They face betrayal, doubt, delay, and still move forward, because they've made a decision that's deeper than desire, a commitment. They've burned the boats. They've closed the back doors. They're closed the back doors. They're all in. And because of that, the world eventually moves for them. Opportunities align. People show up. Doors open. Not because they're lucky, but because they endured long enough to earn it. They operate with inevitable discipline. There's a difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind. But discipline, that's chosen, that's built, that's earned. Self-made millionaires are not always motivated, but they are always disciplined. They don't wait to feel like it. They don't ask themselves whether they're ready. They don't negotiate with the alarm clock or the work or the weight on their shoulders. They do what must be done, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable, because they understand something the masses do not. Success isn't about how you feel. It's about what you do, repeatedly, consistently, without excuse. Discipline is their edge. It's what sharpens them while others rust. It builds momentum. It destroys resistance. It creates a rhythm so unstoppable that nothing, not fear, not fatigue, not failure, can interrupt it. They're not disciplined because they were born that way. They're disciplined because they decided to be. They are the cause, not the effect. Of rich minds react. Great minds create. The self-made never play the victim. They do not wait for conditions to improve. They do not blame, complain, or retreat into comfort. They understand. I am the cause. I create my results. I shape my reality. Even when circumstances seem unfair, they look inward first. They ask, how did I attract this? What am I not seeing? What do I need to change within myself? Because they know, until you take full ownership of your life, you will never command it. They move through the world like architects, not spectators. They build character, build business, build solutions, build discipline. They are the storm, not the shelter. The flame, not the spark. The current, not the ripple. They are obsessed with becoming unrecognizable. Comfort is the slow death of greatness, and self-made millionaires have no interest in remaining the same. They are obsessed with transformation. Want to look in the mirror a year from now and not even recognize the person staring back. They chase mastery, growth, strength. They pursue evolution like their life depends on it, because it does. They constantly raise the standard, not for others, for themselves. They kill excuses. They erase limits. They become the kind of person who makes other people ask, how did you do it? And the truth is, there was no magic, only decision, only fire, only the daily commitment to become unrecognizable to their former selves. They do not fear change, they demand it. They don't just want wealth, they want freedom. Money is a tool. Wealth is a result, but freedom, that's the real target. Self-made millionaires don't chase money for ego. They chase it for options. The freedom to say no, the freedom to say yes, the freedom to walk away, to choose, to lead, to protect, to serve, the freedom to spend time how they want, with who they want, doing what matters most. That's what drives them. That's what keeps them moving when most would quit, because they know until you control your time, you are not free. Until you can choose your future, you are not free. And so they build, they sacrifice. They trade short-term pleasure for long-term peace, not because they love the hustle, but because they crave the liberation. They make peace with the lonely path. It's lonely at the top, because very few are willing to climb. Accept this truth. They understand that not everyone will understand them, that friends may drift, that family may doubt, that their hunger might intimidate others. They've made peace with walking alone, if they must, because they'd rather be alone with purpose than surrounded by comfort and mediocrity. But something beautiful happens on this path. Eventually, they meet others who chose the climb. Other visionaries, other warriors, other builders, and the loneliness turns to alignment. Because when you live with courage and conviction, the right people, the real ones, find you. But first, you must be willing to walk alone. they never go back to who they were. There is no reverse for the self-made. Once they awaken, they never go back. Once they taste discipline, growth, impact, they can no longer stomach smallness. They refuse to shrink. They refuse to return to average. They refuse to dim their light to fit in. They burn the old version of themselves, and they never look back. Because the vision ahead is too clear. The mission to real, the new identity to strong. They move forward like it's the only direction left, and in many ways it is. What every self-made millionaire knows that most never will. Now listen closely, because this is the part most will never understand. The self-made millionaire doesn't succeed because they're smarter, luckier, or better. They succeed because they see what others miss. They choose what others avoid. They believe what others doubt. They become who others are afraid to become. And in the end, what they know, what they live, is this: that success is not a gift. It is a decision. That wealth is not something you wait for. It is something you become. That freedom is not a dream. It is a discipline. And that the life you crave, the one with power, peace, purpose, is already within you. But you must reach in, tear out the fear, burn the excuses, and rise, because no one is coming to save you. But everything you need is already inside you. So the question is not, can you become it? The question is, will you?